He hadn't let anyone touch him in 10 years. Not his parents, not his friends, not even doctors unless he was sedated. One accidental brush of skin and he'd collapse into a panic attack so severe they'd have to hospitalize him. But then she kissed him. Well, crashed into him. Same difference. Their lips touched for exactly 1 second in a crowded high school hallway, and the entire school held its breath waiting for him to break down. Waiting for the screaming, the panic, the inevitable disaster. Except, he didn't panic. For the first time in a decade, someone's touch didn't make Kang Min-joon want to crawl out of his own skin. And that 1 second, that one accidental kiss with a girl who didn't even know his name, would either save his life or destroy it completely. This is the story of the most untouchable boy in Korea, and the girl who refused to let him disappear. If you're ready for a love story that will absolutely wreck you, keep watching. And hit that subscribe button right now, because you're going to want to see how this ends. Nia's backpack strap broke at the worst possible moment. She was already late, already lost in the maze of hallways at Hansong International Academy, already regretting every decision that led her to transfer to this elite Korean high school in her senior year. Now her bag hit the polished floor, books and papers exploding across the corridor, and she dropped to her knees with a groan of frustration. Great. Perfect. Amazing start, Nia, she muttered, scrambling to gather her things. Footsteps approached, expensive shoes clicking against marble. Multiple pairs. She looked up to see a group of students frozen mid-step, staring at something behind her with expressions of absolute horror. One girl had her hand over her mouth. A boy looked like he might actually pass out. "Move," someone said behind her. The voice was cold, sharp, male. "Now." Nia grabbed her chemistry textbook and spun around. "Look, I'm sorry I'm blocking the hallway, but my bag just—" She didn't see him until it was too late. He was walking fast, head down, white earbuds in, and she was turning with momentum. They collided hard. Her textbook flew. His shoulder hit hers. And somehow, impossibly, their faces crashed together. Their lips touched. For 1 second. Maybe less. But it happened. The hallway went completely silent. Not library silent. Tomb silent. Someone dropped their phone and didn't pick it up. Nia stumbled backward, hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry! I didn't see you. I wasn't looking, Then she actually looked at him. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with black hair falling across his forehead and sharp, almost severe features that would have been intimidating if not for the absolute terror in his eyes. He wore the standard uniform like everyone else, but with black leather gloves. In September. Inside a climate-controlled building. And he was staring at her like she'd just stabbed him. "I'm really sorry," she said, again, taking a step back. "Are you okay?" He didn't respond, didn't move. His chest rose and fell rapidly, and she realized with growing alarm that he might be having a panic attack. "Should I call someone? Do you need help?" Kang Min-joon. A girl rushed forward, but stopped a careful 3 feet away from him. "Do you need to go to the nurse? Should I call your driver?" Min-joon. So that was his name. He still hadn't looked away from Nia. His dark eyes were wide, searching her face like he was trying to solve an impossible equation. Then, slowly, he lifted one gloved hand and touched his own lips. Testing. Checking if they were still there. "Kang Min-joon," the girl said again, more urgently. "Are you—" "I'm fine." His voice came out rough, unused. He lowered his hand. "I'm fine." The hallway collectively exhaled. Min-joon bent down, picked up Nia's chemistry textbook, and held it out to her. Not close enough that she could take it without stepping forward. He maintained careful distance. "Thank you," Nia said, moving closer to grab the book. His eyes tracked the movement. You're the transfer student. Nia Park. Today's my first day. I know. Then he walked away, the crowd parting for him like he was radioactive. Nobody got within 3 feet. They pressed themselves against lockers and walls, creating a clear path. Nia turned to the girl who'd spoken. What just happened? Is he okay? The girl stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You don't know who that is? I literally arrived in Korea 3 days ago. That's Kang Min-jun. His family basically owns half of Seoul, and nobody touches him. Ever. Why not? Because he has severe mysophobia and haplophobia. Fear of germs and fear of being touched. He wears gloves constantly, uses hand sanitizer like it's oxygen, and keeps distance from everyone. Last year, a guy accidentally bumped into him and Min-jun had a full panic attack. Couldn't breathe, had to be hospitalized. The girl's eyes were still wide. You kissed him. I didn't kiss him. We crashed into each other. Your lips touched. I saw it. Everyone saw it. The girl pulled out her phone. This is going to be all over school in like 5 minutes. Wait, what? No, it was an accident. But the girl was already typing, and around them, dozens of other phones appeared. Whispers started spreading like wildfire. Did you see? She kissed Kang Min-jun. Who is she? The new transfer student. Is he okay? He didn't break down. He talked to her. He picked up her book. Nia felt panic rising in her own chest. This was not how she wanted to start at a new school. She gathered her remaining belongings, shoved them into her broken bag, and practically ran to find her homeroom. If this is already giving you butterflies, drop a comment below and hit subscribe because you won't believe what happens next. By lunch, Nia had been stopped 14 times by students asking about the incident. Someone had created a poll asking if Min-jun would transfer schools now that he'd been contaminated. Another group was taking bets on whether Nia would be expelled for assault. The whole thing was insane. She found refuge in the library, hiding in the back corner with the lunch Maya had packed for her. The librarian, an older woman with kind eyes, had shooed away 3 different groups of curious students already. You're the girl from this morning, the librarian said, not unkindly. Does everyone know? This is a school of 800 students with nothing better to do than gossip about the untouchable Kang Min-jun. So, yes. She adjusted her glasses. For what it's worth, it was clearly an accident. Anyone with eyes could see that. Then why is everyone acting like I committed a crime? Because in 10 years, nobody has managed to get close to him without triggering a severe reaction. And you, on your first day, accidentally kissed him. Can you see why that's notable? Nia dropped her head to the table. I just wanted to finish high school quietly. Well, you've certainly made an impression. The librarian patted her shoulder. Give it a week. Something else will happen and they'll forget all about it. But Nia had the sinking feeling this wouldn't be forgotten in a week. She was right. Over the next 3 days, the attention didn't die down. It intensified. Someone created an Instagram account called The Untouchable's Kiss that gained 600 followers overnight. Girls who'd apparently been in love with Min-jun from afar stopped Nia in bathrooms to ask what his lips felt like. Guys wanted to know her secret for getting close to him. The worst part? She hadn't seen Min-jun since that morning. He'd been absent from school, which only fueled more rumors. Some said he was hospitalized. Others claimed he'd fled the country. One particularly dramatic girl insisted he'd joined a monastery. On Thursday, Nia stayed late in the art room, trying to finish a painting for her portfolio. The school was mostly empty, quiet in a way it never was during the day. She was so focused on mixing the right shade of blue that she didn't hear the door open. You use too much white. Nia spun around so fast she nearly knocked over her water cup. Min-jun stood in the doorway, still wearing his gloves, maintaining his careful distance. But he was here, looking at her painting. What? Your shadows. You're mixing white to lighten them. Use the complementary color instead. It'll be more dynamic. She looked at her canvas, then back at him. Are you giving me art advice? You're talented but untrained. It's obvious. He stepped into the room but stopped exactly 6 feet away from her. She could tell he'd measured it. Why art? Your transcripts show you're better at sciences. How do you know my transcripts? My family has access to school records. He said it matter-of-factly, like it was completely normal to investigate someone. You had a 4.0 at your American school. Perfect SAT scores. You could study anything. Why art? Nia set down her paintbrush. Why are you here? I asked first. And I asked second. You've been gone for 3 days. Everyone thinks you're traumatized because of what happened. Are you traumatized? He tilted his head, studying her with that same intense focus from the hallway. You touched me. Doesn't that bother you? Why would it bother me? I'm the one who should be asking if you're okay. I know about your condition. Everyone knows about my condition. He moved slightly closer. 5.5 feet now. But you still haven't answered my question. Are you bothered by what happened? Nia thought about lying, but something in his gaze made her tell the truth. I felt terrible. I still feel terrible. I didn't mean to trigger your phobia or cause you panic or whatever happened. If I could take it back, I would. What if I don't want you to take it back? The question hung in the air between them. Outside, the sun was setting, casting orange light through the art room windows. Dust motes danced in the beams. I don't understand, Nia said finally. Min-jun was quiet for a long moment. Then, I haven't let anyone touch me in 10 years. Not family, not friends, not doctors unless absolutely necessary, and I'm sedated. When people get too close, I can't breathe. My skin feels like it's burning. I have panic attacks that last hours. He paused. But when you touched me, when our lips touched, I didn't panic. Nia's heart started beating faster. What do you mean you didn't panic? You looked terrified. I was terrified because I didn't panic. Do you understand? For the first time in a decade, someone's touch didn't make me want to crawl out of my own skin. He took another half step closer. I've spent 3 days trying to figure out why. What makes you different? I'm not different. I'm just a person. You're not just anything. His voice dropped lower. I need to understand this. I need to understand you. Min-jun, let me finish. He held up a gloved hand. I'm not good at this, at talking to people, at any of this. But I need to know if it was a fluke, if it was the shock of the moment, or if... He trailed off. Or if what? Or if you're the exception to every rule I've lived by for 10 years. Nia felt like the floor had tilted beneath her. You can't just say things like that. We don't even know each other. Then let me know you. He said it like it was simple. Like he wasn't asking for something impossible. Sit with me at lunch tomorrow. Let me walk you to class. Let me figure out why you're different. And if I say no, then I'll leave you alone. But the way he said it, the slight crack in his voice, made it clear that wasn't what he wanted. Nia looked at him, really looked at him. Past the expensive uniform and the careful distance and the reputation. He was just a boy who'd been hurt so badly that human touch had become his enemy. And, somehow, accidentally, she'd become the first person in 10 years to get past his walls. Okay, she said quietly. We can try. Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Thank you. But Min-jun? If this makes your condition worse, if being around me causes you any kind of distress, you have to tell me. Promise. I promise. He glanced at her painting. And use less white in your shadows. Trust me. Then he left, maintaining his careful distance from the walls, from the desks, from everything. But at the door, he paused and looked back at her. Nia? Yeah? I'm glad you crashed into me. After he was gone, Nia sat down hard in her chair, her mind racing. What had she just agreed to? And why did the thought of sitting with him tomorrow make her heart race like this? She looked at her painting, at the shadows she'd been struggling with. Then she picked up her brush and started mixing colors, using less white. He was right. It did look better. Like this. Twist! Smash that like button and let me know in the comments if you're Team Minjun already. The next morning, Nia arrived at school to find her locker decorated with post-it notes. Dozens of them. All from anonymous students. Stay away from KMJ. He doesn't need your drama. Using his condition for attention? Gross. You're not special. He'll get bored. But there were positive ones too. Finally, someone broke through to him, and you guys would be cute together, and please date him so the rest of us can live vicariously. She was crumpling the mean ones when a voice spoke behind her. They've been doing that since 6 a.m. Nia turned to find a girl about her age, with short hair dyed silver and multiple ear piercings. She looked amused. I'm Yoon Ji-woo. I sit behind you in calculus. Nia. I know. Everyone knows. You're the girl who kissed the untouchable. Ji-woo leaned against the locker. For what it's worth, I think it's hilarious. Min-jun's been treated like some kind of tragic prince for years. Maybe someone actually treating him like a normal person is exactly what he needs. I don't know if normal is the right word for any of this. Probably not, but it'll be entertaining to watch. Ji-woo grinned. Fair warning, though. Lee Hana and her crew are not happy. She's had a crush on Min-jun since middle school, and you just accomplished in 1 second what she couldn't do in 5 years. Accomplished what? I literally just crashed into him. Exactly. You made contact. You made him talk. You made him react. Ji-woo pushed off the locker. Anyway, just wanted to introduce myself. And to tell you that some of us think this whole thing is great. Min-jun deserves to have someone who doesn't treat him like he's made of glass. Before Nia could respond, the hallway noise dropped by half. She didn't need to look to know Min-jun had arrived. She could feel the shift in energy, the way everyone suddenly became hyper-aware of space and distance. He walked directly to her locker, stopped his customary 3 feet away, and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Ready for lunch?" The hallway went completely silent. It's 8:30 in the morning, Nia pointed out. I'm aware. I'm asking for lunch. In advance. So you can't say you made other plans. Ji-woo made a choking sound that might have been a laugh. Nia closed her locker. Fine, yes, lunch. Good. Min-jun looked satisfied. Then he noticed the post-it notes in her hand. His expression darkened. Who did that? It's nothing. It's not nothing. He turned to the hallway at large. If anyone has something to say about Nia, or about me, say it directly. Not through anonymous notes like cowards. Nobody spoke. Nobody even breathed. That's what I thought. He looked back at Nia. I'll meet you at your locker at 12:30. Then he walked away, and the hallway erupted into whispers the moment he turned the corner. Did you see that? He defended her. Kang Min-jun doesn't talk to anyone, and he just made a public declaration. This is insane. Ji-woo whistled low. Girl, you are in for a wild ride. Nia couldn't argue with that. At 12:30 exactly, Min-jun appeared at her locker. He was punctual to the second, she'd noticed. Probably another symptom of his need for control. The cafeteria is too crowded, he said without preamble. I eat on the roof. You can join me. Is that allowed? No, but nobody stops me. He started walking, and after a moment, Nia followed. The roof access was technically restricted, but Minjun produced a key from his pocket like it was nothing. The roof itself was empty, except for some old maintenance equipment, and a stunning view of Seoul sprawling in every direction. Minjun had clearly been eating up here for a while. There was a small folding table set up, meticulously clean, with 2 chairs now instead of 1. He'd planned this, prepared for her. You added a chair? She said. I added a chair, he confirmed. He sat in one, leaving the other for her, maintaining the space between them. From his bag, he pulled out 2 bento boxes. I wasn't sure what you liked, so I had my chef make several options. There's Korean, Japanese, and Western food. Naya sat down slowly. Your chef? Yes. You have a chef. Doesn't everyone? She laughed despite herself. No, Minjun, everyone does not have a chef. He looked genuinely puzzled. How do you eat? Most people cook, or their parents cook, or they buy food. That seems inefficient. He pushed the boxes toward her. Try the kimbap first. It's my favorite. Nia opened the first box and found perfect rolls of kimbap, beautifully arranged. The second had tonkatsu. The third had a turkey sandwich and fruit. It was enough food for 5 people. This is too much. I didn't know your preferences. I wanted options. He opened his own lunch, which was notably smaller and simpler. White rice, plain chicken, steamed vegetables, all separated, nothing touching. They ate in silence for a few minutes. The view really was incredible from up here. She could see why he chose this spot. Can I ask you something? Nia said finally. Yes. Why did you really come to the art room yesterday? And don't say it was just about my painting technique. Minjun set down his chopsticks carefully. I needed to see if it was real, if the lack of panic was a fluke or something replicable. And being near you right now, I feel calm, not anxious, not like my skin is too tight, just calm. He met her eyes. Do you know how rare that is for me? I still don't understand why, though. I'm not special. You keep saying that, but you are to me. He paused. Do you want to know what happened? Why I'm like this? Nia nodded, sensing this was important. Minjun's hands clenched into fists on the table. I was 8. My little sister was 6. My mother took us to a festival in Seoul. It was crowded, thousands of people. There was a rumor about a celebrity appearance, and everyone surged forward at once. His voice went flat, emotionless. I got separated from my mother, got swept up in the crowd. People were pushing, shoving. I couldn't breathe. I got crushed against a barrier. Bodies pressing on all sides. I was screaming for my mom, but nobody could hear me. Nia's chest tightened. When they finally pulled me out, I'd been in that crush for 40 minutes. I had bruised ribs, a concussion, and panic so severe I couldn't function. He looked down at his gloved hands. My sister wasn't as lucky. She was smaller, fell in the stampede. People trampled her trying to get away. She died 3 days later in the hospital. Minjun, Nia whispered. I'm so sorry. After that, I couldn't let people touch me. The feeling of being trapped, of bodies pressing close, it never left. Even a handshake would trigger flashbacks. My parents tried everything. Therapy, medication, exposure treatment. Nothing worked. Eventually, they gave up and just managed it. Gave me space. Let me set the rules. That must be so lonely. He looked at her, surprised. Most people don't think about that part. They think about the money, the privilege, the attention. They don't think about what it means to go years without a hug, without someone patting your shoulder, without any physical connection to another human being. Nia understood then. This wasn't just about his phobia. It was about isolation, about being trapped in his own body, in his own fear. "What about your parents?" she asked gently. "They tried for a few years, then they just adapted. My father focuses on business. My mother has her charities. We exist in the same house, but we might as well be strangers." He picked up his chopsticks again. "It's fine. I'm used to it." "It's not fine, though." He looked at her sharply. "What?" "It's not fine, Minjun. Being lonely isn't fine. Being afraid isn't fine. Just because you're used to it doesn't make it okay." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. Or relief that someone finally said it out loud. "No," he agreed quietly. "It's not fine. But it's my reality." "What if it doesn't have to be?" The words came out before Naya could stop them. "What if we could figure out why I'm different? Why touching me doesn't trigger you? Maybe that's a starting point." "For what?" "For getting better. For healing. For living a life where you're not constantly afraid." Minjun was quiet for a long time. The wind ruffled his hair, and up here, away from the school and the whispers and the expectations, he looked younger. Vulnerable. "Would you really help me with that?" he asked. "Yes." "Why? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Nia thought about her answer carefully. "Because everyone deserves a chance to heal. And because for some reason I don't understand yet, I might be able to help you. So why wouldn't I?" Minjun smiled then. A real smile, small but genuine. It transformed his entire face. "Okay," he said. "Let's try." Neither of them knew it yet, but that agreement on the roof, with souls spread out beneath them and the autumn sky above, would change everything. For both of them. Their experiment, as Minjun insisted on calling it, started small. The next day, he asked if she would sit closer during lunch. Not touching, but closer. 2 feet instead of 3. Nia agreed, and they ate their lunch with her close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. Close enough that if either of them moved wrong, their knees might brush. Minjun's hands shook the entire time, but he didn't pull away. Didn't run. When lunch ended, he looked exhausted but triumphant. "Tomorrow," he said. "Same distance. I need to get used to it." By Friday, they were sitting a foot apart. The school was losing its collective mind. "They're dating," someone insisted in the bathroom while Naya washed her hands. "They can't be dating. He doesn't touch her. He sits with her every day. That's basically a marriage proposal for Kang Min-jun." Nia ignored them, but she couldn't ignore the feeling growing in her chest every time Min-jun looked at her. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was something deeper, warmer, more dangerous. On Monday of the second week, Min-jun was waiting at her locker with an announcement. "I want to try something today." "What kind of something?" "I want you to touch my hand. Just for a second. I need to know if it was specifically your lips or if it's all contact." He held up his gloved hand. "I'll keep the glove on for now." Nia's heart raced. "Are you sure? What if it triggers you?" "Then it triggers me, but I need to know." His jaw was set with determination. "Please." They went to an empty classroom. Min-jun sat at a desk, placed his gloved hand palm up on the surface, and stared at it like it might explode. "Take your time," Nia said. "We don't have to do this today." "Yes, we do. I've been thinking about this for a week. If I don't do it now, I'll lose my nerve." He looked up at her. "Just touch my palm. Quick, like ripping off a bandage." Nia approached slowly. She could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his breathing had gone shallow. This was costing him everything. She reached out. Her finger hovered above his gloved palm. "It's okay," he whispered. "I trust you." Those 3 words did something to her. I trust you. When trust was the hardest thing for him to give. She touched his palm, just her fingertip against the leather of his glove. The contact lasted maybe 2 seconds before she pulled back. Min-jun sat perfectly still. His eyes were closed, his breathing controlled. Nia watched him process, waiting for the panic attack, ready to call for help if needed. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Then Min-jun opened his eyes, and they were bright with something that looked like hope. "I felt it," he said, voice rough. "I felt your touch through the glove, and I didn't panic." "You didn't panic," Nia repeated, almost unable to believe it. "I didn't panic." He laughed, short and disbelieving. "Do you understand what this means? I haven't let anyone touch me voluntarily in 10 years, and I didn't panic." Before Nia could respond, Min-jun did something that shocked them both. He reached out with his gloved hand and brushed his fingers against hers. Deliberately, intentionally. The touch was featherlight, barely there, but it was contact. Sustained contact. He kept his fingers against hers for 5 full seconds, and Nia watched emotions flicker across his face. Fear, wonder, relief. Something else she couldn't name. When he pulled back, his hand was trembling, but he was smiling. "Again," he said. "Tomorrow. We try again." If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This story is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Over the next week, their touches became more frequent, more deliberate. Always with the glove on, always brief, but each one was a victory. Min-jun started initiating them, reaching for her hand during lunch, brushing her shoulder when they walked between classes, each time testing his limits. The school's reaction escalated from curiosity to obsession. Someone created a spreadsheet tracking every interaction. The Instagram account hit 2,000 followers. Betting pools expanded to include predictions about when he'd take off the gloves. But not everyone was supportive. On Thursday, Nia was cornered in the bathroom by Lee Hana and 3 of her friends. Hana was beautiful in that carefully constructed way, with designer everything and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We need to talk," Hana said, blocking the exit. "I don't think we do." "You're using him. Everyone can see it. You're exploiting his condition for attention." Nia tried to push past, but one of Hana's friends shifted to block her. "I'm not exploiting anyone. Min-jun and I are friends." "Friends?" Hana laughed. "You think Kang Min-jun has friends?" "He has a disorder. He has family obligations. He has a future already planned out by his parents. He doesn't have friends, and he definitely doesn't have whatever you think this is. You don't know anything about him. I know more than you think. I know his parents are already looking at arranged marriage options. I know my family is at the top of that list. I know that no matter what happens with this little experiment of yours, it ends the same way, with him doing what his family expects." Hana stepped closer. "So why don't you save yourself the heartbreak and back off now?" "Is that a threat?" "It's advice. From someone who actually understands his world. You're a novelty, Nia. Something new and different. But novelties get boring. And then what? You go back to being nobody, and he goes back to being untouchable." Nia's hands clenched into fists. "Get out of my way." "Or what? You'll tell Min-jun, please. He won't do anything that goes against his family's wishes. He never has. And he never will. He's been trained since birth to be obedient. You really don't know him at all, do you?" Nia pushed past them, shoulder-checking Hana hard enough to make her stumble. "And for the record, if Min-jun wanted to talk to you, he would have done it years ago. But he doesn't. So maybe focus on your own life and stay out of ours." She left before Hana could respond. but her hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from anger. How dare they act like Minjun was some kind of prize to be won? Like he didn't have his own thoughts, his own feelings, his own choices? She didn't tell Minjun about the confrontation. Not yet. But she thought about Hana's words all day. About arranged marriages and family expectations, and the reality of Minjun's world outside their rooftop lunches. That afternoon, Minjun asked her to stay after school. He had something to show her. He led her to the music room, empty and quiet in the late afternoon light. A piano sat in the corner, sleek and black, and probably worth more than Naya's entire education. "Do you play?" she asked. "I used to. Before." He approached the piano slowly, pulled off one glove, then the other. Set them carefully on the bench. Nia's breath caught. She'd never seen his bare hands before. They were elegant, long-fingered, with calluses on the fingertips from what must have been years of practice. "I stopped after my sister died," he said quietly, sitting at the piano. "She used to sit next to me while I played. After she was gone, I couldn't stand to touch the keys without her there." "Minjun, you don't have to." "I want to." He flexed his fingers, testing. "I want to see if I can still do it. With you here." He started to play. Something classical, complex, and heartbreakingly beautiful. His fingers moved across the keys with muscle memory, even after years of not playing. The music filled the room, filled Nia's chest, and she realized she was crying. When he finished, the silence was heavy with emotion. "That was beautiful," Nia whispered. "It was my sister's favorite piece. Claire de Lune." Minjun stared at the keys. "I haven't been able to play it since she died. Every time I tried, I'd break down. But today, with you here, I could." Nia moved closer, drawn by something she couldn't name. She sat next to him on the bench, careful to leave space between them. "What was her name? Your sister?" "Min Seo. She was 6 years old, and she wanted to be a dancer. She used to make me play while she practiced her ballet." His voice cracked. "She died because of me. Because I wasn't strong enough to hold on to her in the crowd." "Minjun, no. You were 8 years old. It wasn't your fault." "Everyone says that. My therapist, my parents, the doctors. But I was her older brother. I was supposed to protect her." He finally looked at Nia, and his eyes were wet. "I held her hand when the crowd started pushing. I felt her fingers slip out of mine. I heard her scream my name. And I couldn't get to her." Nia didn't think. She just moved. She reached out and took his bare hand in hers. Minjun gasped, his whole body going rigid. Skin on skin, no barriers, no gloves, just her hand holding his. "Look at me," Naya said firmly. "You didn't let go of her. The crowd tore you apart. That's not the same thing. You were a child, and you experienced something traumatic, and you've been carrying guilt that was never yours to carry." "Nia..." His voice was strangled. "I'm touching you, right now, skin to skin. And you're not having a panic attack. You're here with me, and you're okay." She squeezed his hand gently. "Your sister wouldn't want you to live like this. Isolated and afraid and punishing yourself for something that wasn't your fault." A tear slid down Minjun's cheek. Then another. Then he was crying, really crying, and his hand was gripping hers like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. "I miss her," he choked out. "I miss her so much." "I know. I know you do." They sat like that for a long time, hands clasped, while Minjun cried for the sister he'd lost and the childhood that had been stolen from him. And through it all, he held Nia's hand. No gloves, no barriers, just two people connecting in the most fundamental human way. When his tears finally slowed, Minjun looked down at their joined hands in wonder. I'm touching you, he said, voice hoarse. I'm really touching you. You are. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make me want to run. He turned his hand, interlacing their fingers, testing different positions. It feels warm, safe. That's what touch is supposed to feel like. Minjun looked at her then, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. Something intense and raw and vulnerable. Nia, I need to tell you something. Okay. This isn't just about the phobia anymore. It hasn't been for a while. He took a shaky breath. I think about you constantly. When you're not around, I'm counting down the minutes until I see you again. When you smile, my whole day feels brighter. And when you touch me, I feel more alive than I have in 10 years. Nia's heart hammered against her ribs. Minjun. I'm falling for you. Maybe I already have. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated, but I need you to know. You're not just helping me overcome my phobia. You're making me want to overcome it. Making me want to be brave. His hand tightened around hers. You make me want to live again. The confession hung in the air between them, vulnerable and true. I'm falling for you too, Nia whispered. I have been since that day on the roof when you smiled at me for the first time. Minjun's eyes widened. Really? Really? Can I try something? His voice was barely audible. You can say no. I'll understand if... What do you want to try? He lifted his free hand slowly, telegraphing every movement. His fingers brushed her cheek, featherlight and trembling. She stayed perfectly still, letting him explore at his own pace. He traced her jawline, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, cupped her face with a gentleness that made her chest ache. You're so beautiful, he breathed. And I'm terrified that this is all a dream. That I'll wake up and still be trapped in my fear, and you'll just be something I imagined. I'm real. This is real. Then can I kiss you? Intentionally this time. Because I want to. Not because we crashed into each other. Nia's breath caught. This was huge. Monumental. A boy who couldn't let anyone touch him for a decade was asking permission to kiss her. Yes, she said. Yes, you can kiss me. Minjun leaned in slowly, giving her every opportunity to change her mind. His hand stayed on her cheek, steady despite the fear she could see in his eyes. When their lips finally touched, it was gentle, careful, perfect. The kiss lasted maybe 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, Nia felt Minjun's whole world shift. Felt him choosing bravery over fear, connection over isolation, hope over despair. When they pulled apart, he was smiling through tears. I did it, he said, wonder in his voice. I really did it. You did it. He laughed, bright and disbelieving, and pulled her into a hug. An actual hug. Arms around her, face buried in her shoulder, holding her like she might disappear. And he didn't let go. Didn't panic. Didn't run. Thank you, he whispered against her shoulder. Thank you for crashing into me. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for making me believe I could be more than my fear. Nia hugged him back, careful not to squeeze too tight, letting him control the contact. You were always more than your fear, Minjun. You just needed to remember. They stayed like that until the sun set and the janitor came to lock up the music room. And when they finally walked out of the school together, Minjun reached for her hand without hesitation. Drop a comment if this scene destroyed you emotionally. And hit that subscribe button because the real challenges are just beginning. But as they walked through the school gates, Nia saw Li-hana watching them from across the street. The look on her face was pure calculation, and Nia knew, with cold certainty, that their problems were just beginning. The next morning, Minjun's father showed up at school. Nia was in calculus when the announcement came over the intercom. Kang Min-jun, please report to the principal's office immediately. The entire class went silent. Min-jun, who sat 3 rows ahead of Nia now instead of isolating himself in the back corner, gathered his things slowly. He caught her eye as he left, and the worry in his expression made her stomach drop. 20 minutes later, her own name was called. The principal's office was large, expensive, intimidating. Min-jun sat in a chair looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. Next to him stood a man in a 3-piece suit who could only be his father. They had the same sharp features, the same dark eyes, but where Min-jun's gaze held warmth, his father's held only cold assessment. "Miss Park," the principal said. "Please, sit down." Nia sat, her heart racing. Min-jun wouldn't look at her. "Miss Park, I am Kang Jae-sung, Min-jun's father. It has come to my attention that you and my son have formed some kind of relationship." "We're friends," Nia said carefully. "Friends?" Mr. Kang's tone suggested he didn't believe her. "My son hasn't had friends in 10 years. Then you arrive and suddenly he's holding hands with you in public, kissing you in empty classrooms. Tell me, Miss Park, what exactly are your intentions with my son?" "Dad," Min-jun started. "Be quiet." Mr. Kang didn't even look at him. "I'm speaking to Miss Park." Nia's temper flared. "My intentions are to be there for someone who's been through trauma, to help him heal, to care about him." How noble. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with my son's family wealth or social position. "I don't care. About your money." "Everyone cares about money, Miss Park. Some people are just better at pretending they don't." He pulled out a folder, set it on the principal's desk. "You transferred here from America. Single mother, middle-class background, no connections. You're nobody. And yet somehow you've managed to become the most talked-about student in this school by attaching yourself to my son." "I didn't attach myself to anyone. We met by accident." "An accident you've certainly capitalized on." He opened the folder. "I've done research on you, Miss Park. Your mother works 2 jobs. Your family has debt. Your college fund is minimal. How convenient that you've befriended the heir to one of Korea's largest fortunes." Min-jun stood abruptly. "That's enough. Nia isn't using me. She's helping me. Helping you." Mr. Kang finally looked at his son, and the disappointment in his eyes was crushing. "You've been in treatment for your condition for 10 years. The best doctors, the best therapists, the best facilities. None of them could help you. But this girl shows up and suddenly you're cured? Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? I'm not cured, but I'm better. Because of her. Because she's manipulating you. Can't you see that? She's using your vulnerability to get close to you, to access our family resources. You don't know her. I know enough." Mr. Kang turned back to Nia. "Name your price." Nia blinked. "What? Your price? How much money will it take for you to transfer schools and leave my son alone? 1,000,000 won? 5,000,000? Name it, and I'll have the funds transferred today." The room spun. He was trying to buy her off, like she was some kind of gold digger, some opportunist who'd planned this whole thing. "I don't want your money," Nia said, her voice shaking with anger. "I want you to leave us alone and let Min-jun make his own choices." Min-jun doesn't make choices. He follows the path his family has laid out for him. He always has. Mr. Kang's expression was ice. "My son has responsibilities, obligations, a future that doesn't include a nobody from America who happened to crash into him in a hallway." "Dad, stop." Min-jun moved between them. "Just stop. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not your puppet. And I'm not giving up Nia because you're uncomfortable with me actually being happy for once." "Happy?" Mr. Kang's laugh was bitter. "You think this is happiness? She's a distraction, a phase. And when it ends, You'll be right back where you started. Isolated, afraid, and completely dependent on our family's resources to function. Maybe I will be. Or maybe I'll keep getting better. Keep healing. But either way, it's my choice to make. You don't get to make choices. Not about this. Not when it affects the family reputation and business interests. Minjun's voice dropped to something cold and unfamiliar. Then maybe I don't want to be part of this family anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. The principal looked shocked. Mr. Kang's face went pale, then red. What did you just say? You heard me. If being part of this family means giving up the first person who's made me feel human in 10 years, then I'm done. I'll walk away from all of it. The company, the money, the expectations, all of it. You're being ridiculous. You can't survive without the family resources. Watch me. Minjun grabbed Nia's hand, pulled her to her feet. Come on, we're leaving. Minjun, wait, the principal started. But they were already out the door. Minjun didn't stop walking until they were off school grounds, halfway down the block, both of them breathing hard. Did you just disown your family? Nia asked, her voice shaky. I think I did. Minjun laughed, high and slightly unhinged. I just told my father I'd walk away from everything. Oh God, what did I just do? Minjun, no, it's fine. It's good. He needed to hear it. He was pacing now, running his hands through his hair. He's been controlling every aspect of my life since I was 8 years old, deciding who I see, where I go, what I do, using my phobia as an excuse to keep me dependent on him. But I'm not that scared kid anymore. Not with you. Naya caught his arm, made him stop pacing. Are you sure about this? Really sure? Because what you just did, there's no taking it back. I know. He cupped her face with both hands, and the fact that he could do that he chose to do that, said everything. I know, and I don't care. You're more important. This is more important. Your father is going to make our lives hell. Probably, but we'll figure it out. He kissed her forehead. Together, right? Together, she agreed, even as fear curled in her stomach. They didn't go back to school that day. Instead, they walked through Seoul, hand in hand, while Minjun slowly realized the magnitude of what he'd done. By evening, his phone had 43 missed calls from his father, 15 from his mother, and a text from his family lawyer asking him to call immediately. He turned off his phone. I should probably find somewhere to stay tonight, he said as they sat in a park watching the sunset. I don't think going home is a good idea. You can stay with me and my mom. We don't have much space, but the couch is comfortable. Minjun looked at her like she'd offered him the world. You'd do that? Of course I would. What, did you think I'd let you sleep on the street after you just gave up your entire inheritance for me? When you put it that way, it sounds insane. It is insane, but it's also the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We'll figure this out. One step at a time. Nia's mother was surprisingly calm when they showed up at the small apartment that evening. She took one look at Minjun, at their clasped hands, at the fear and determination in both their faces, and simply said, I'll make extra dinner. Over a meal of homemade kimchi jjigae. Minjun told her everything. The phobia, the accident with Nia, the progress they'd made, the confrontation with his father. Mrs. Park listened without interrupting, occasionally refilling his bowl. Your father sounds like a piece of work, she said finally. Mom, Nia protested. What? He does. Trying to buy off my daughter like she's some kind of problem to be solved? Mrs. Park looked at Minjun. But I need to know something. Are you doing this to rebel against your father? Or because you genuinely care about my daughter? Minjun didn't hesitate. I care about Nia more than I've cared about anything in years. She's helping me become someone I forgot I could be. Someone who isn't defined by fear or family obligations or trauma. Just me. Mrs. Park studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, you can stay here as long as you need, but we have rules. No closed doors. You sleep on the couch, and you both still go to school and keep your grades up. Deal? Deal, they said in unison. That night, lying on the couch in the small living room, Minjun texted Nia even though she was just one room away. Thank you for letting me stay. Thank my mom. She's the one who said yes. I'm thanking you both for accepting me, for not thinking I'm crazy for what I did today. You're not crazy. You're just finally standing up for yourself. There was a pause, then. I'm scared, Nia. What if I can't make it without my family's support? What if I end up being a burden to you? Nia got out of bed, padded quietly to the living room. Minjun sat up when he saw her, making room on the couch. You're not a burden, she whispered, sitting next to him. And you're stronger than you think. You survived a trauma that would have destroyed most people. You've lived with a phobia that isolated you from the entire world. And today, you stood up to one of the most powerful men in Korea and told him no. If you can do all that, you can do anything. What if he tries to hurt you, to get back at me? Then we deal with it. Together. She took his hand. I'm not going anywhere, Minjun. No matter what your father does or says or threatens, I'm staying right here. He pulled her into a hug, burying his face in her shoulder. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. You deserve someone who sees you for who you really are. Not your money or your family name or your condition, just you. They fell asleep like that, on the couch, wrapped around each other. Mrs. Park found them in the morning and just smiled, throwing a blanket over them before heading to work. If this is hitting you in the feels, leave a comment and tell me your thoughts. And make sure you're subscribed because the drama is about to explode. The next day at school was chaos. News of Minjun's confrontation with his father had spread like wildfire. Everyone knew he'd basically disowned himself. Everyone knew he'd spent the night at Nia's apartment. The gossip was relentless. But what surprised Nia most was the support. Students she'd never spoken to came up to her between classes, telling her they thought Minjun's father was wrong, that what Minjun was doing was brave. Jiwoo organized a group of students to run interference when people got too nosy. The untouchable boy touched someone and lost everything. One girl sighed dramatically. It's like a tragic romance novel. Except it's real life, Nia muttered. At lunch, Minjun led her to the roof as usual, but this time they weren't alone. His mother was waiting. Mrs. Kang was elegant, perfectly put together, but her eyes were red-rimmed. The moment she saw Minjun, she started crying. Mom, Minjun started. Don't. Just don't. She approached slowly, carefully, respecting his space even in her distress. Is it true? What you said to your father? That you'd walk away from everything? Yes. Because of her? She looked at Nia, and there was no malice in her gaze, just confusion and pain. Because of me, Minjun corrected. Nia didn't ask me to do this. She didn't manipulate me or use me. I made a choice. For the first time in my life, I made a choice that was mine and mine alone. Your father is furious. He's threatening to cut you off completely. No money, no credit cards, no family resources. I know. Minjun, you've never worked a day in your life. You don't know how to take care of yourself. How are you going to survive? I'll figure it out. People do it all the time. Mrs. Kang shook her head. This is insane. You're throwing away your entire future for a girl you've known for 3 weeks. She's not just a girl, Mom. She's the reason I can stand here right now without wearing gloves. The reason I can hug you without having a panic attack. He took a step closer to his mother. Look at me. Really look at me. When's the last time you saw me this happy? This alive? Mrs. Kang's composure cracked. You haven't been happy since Minseo died. I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't be the son you needed after we lost her. But I'm trying now. I'm finally trying to live instead of just surviving. And I need you to understand that Naya is part of that. Your father won't budge on this. You know how he is. Then I'll live without his approval. I've been doing it for years anyway. Mrs. Kang looked at Nia then, really looked at her. You. What's your end game here? What do you want from my son? I want him to be happy, Nia said simply. I want him to heal. I want him to have a life where he's not constantly afraid. That's it. You don't want his money? No. His connections? No. Then what? Just him. That's all I've ever wanted. Nia moved closer to Minjun, took his hand. I know you think I'm using him, that I'm some opportunist who saw a vulnerable target. But I'm not. I care about your son, more than I've cared about anyone, and I'm going to stand by him no matter what your husband threatens. Mrs. Kang was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Your father doesn't know I'm here. He'd be furious if he found out. But you're my son, and I can't just abandon you, even if you are being an idiot. She handed the envelope to Minjun. He opened it to find a bank card and several documents. It's a private account. Money your grandmother left you. Your father can't touch it. There's enough to keep you comfortable for a few years if you're careful. She touched his face, the first time Nia had seen her make physical contact with him. I don't agree with what you're doing. I think you're making a mistake. But you're my son, and I love you. So take the money. Get an apartment. Finish school. And please, please don't make me regret this. Minjun hugged her, and Mrs. Kang froze in shock before slowly hugging him back. When they separated, both were crying. Thank you, Mom. Don't thank me. Just don't throw your life away. She looked at Nia. Take care of him, please. I will. After Mrs. Kang left, Minjun stared at the bank card like it was a lifeline. This changes everything, he said quietly. With this money, I can get my own place, stand on my own feet. My father can't control me anymore. Your mom really came through for you. She did. I didn't expect that. He pulled Nia into his arms. Things are actually going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But they weren't okay. Not yet. That afternoon, the principal called an assembly. The entire school gathered in the auditorium, confused and curious. Mr. Kang stood on the stage next to the principal, and Nia felt ice flood her veins. Students of Hansong Academy, the principal began. We have a serious matter to address. It has come to the attention of the board that there have been inappropriate relationships forming between students, relationships that violate school policy and basic standards of conduct. Whispers erupted through the auditorium. Mr. Kang stepped forward. My son, Kang Min-jun, has been involved with a student who has taken advantage of his medical condition for personal gain. As a board member and concerned parent, I cannot stand by and allow this exploitation to continue. Min-jun stood up from his seat. Dad, what are you doing? Protecting you, as I always have. Mr. Kang looked directly at Nia. Park Nia has systematically manipulated my son, using his vulnerability to gain access to our family resources. She has isolated him from his support system, encouraged him to defy his family, and is currently coercing him into living arrangements that are inappropriate and potentially dangerous for someone with his condition. The auditorium exploded with noise. Students were shouting, some in defense of Nia, others in shock at the accusations. That's a lie! Min-jun pushed his way toward the stage. Everything you just said is a lie. Is it? Then explain why you, a boy who couldn't let anyone touch him for 10 years, is suddenly holding hands with a girl, He met 3 weeks ago. Explain why you're living with her family instead of your own. Explain why you've cut off all contact with your doctors and therapists. Because I'm getting better. Because she's helping me heal. Or because she's groomed you into dependency, made herself indispensable so you'll do whatever she wants. Mr. Kang's voice was cold, clinical. This is a textbook case of manipulation, and I won't allow it to continue. Nia stood up, her legs shaking. I never manipulated anyone. Minjun made his own choices. Choices you influenced. Choices you pushed him toward because you knew he was vulnerable. Mr. Kang held up papers. I have statements from multiple students attesting to your pursuit of my son, your calculated approach, your clear targeting of the wealthiest, most vulnerable student in this school. Those are lies! Are they? Lee Hana, please stand. Hana stood up, her expression carefully neutral. I saw Park Nia researching Minjun before they ever met. She knew about his condition, his family, everything. She planned their first meeting. That's not true, Nia's voice cracked. I didn't even know who he was. I also saw her bragging to friends about how easy it was to get close to him, how he'd do anything she asked. Hana's voice was steady, convincing. She called him her ticket out of poverty. The lie was so brazen, so calculated, that Nia couldn't even process it at first. She looked at Minjun, who looked like he'd been physically struck. Minjun, you know that's not true. You know I never said anything like that. But damage was done. Students were whispering, looking at her with suspicion and disgust. Even some of her supporters looked uncertain. This is what happens when we allow outsiders into our community, Mr. Kang continued. They bring chaos. They exploit our children. They tear apart families. He looked directly at Nia. Effective immediately, Park Nia is suspended pending a full investigation into her conduct. If the investigation confirms manipulation and exploitation, she will be expelled, and we will pursue legal action. No! Minjun jumped onto the stage. You can't do this! She didn't do anything wrong. Security, please escort Miss Park from the premises. 2 security guards approached Nia. She stood frozen, unable to believe this was happening. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. Don't touch her! Minjun tried to reach her, but his father grabbed his arm. Enough. You've embarrassed this family enough for one day. Minjun wrenched his arm free. The movement was violent, desperate. Let go of me. You're coming home, now, where you'll receive proper treatment and supervision. I'm 18 years old. You can't force me to do anything. Watch me. Mr. Kang nodded to the security guards. Take him to the car, and make sure Miss Park leaves the property immediately. Everything happened so fast. Security grabbed Nia's arms, started pulling her toward the exit. Minjun was shouting, fighting against the guards holding him. Students were recording everything on their phones. The principal was trying to restore order. It was chaos. Minjun! Nia screamed as they dragged her toward the door. He broke free for just a second, reached for her. Their fingers touched for a brief moment before the guards pulled them apart. I'll fix this, he shouted. I promise, Nia, I'll fix this. Then she was outside, being escorted through the school gates, while inside Minjun screamed her name over and over until his voice went hoarse. The gates closed behind her with a finality that felt like death. Comment below if you're as devastated as I am right now. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're heading into the final act, and you need to see how this ends. Nia sat outside the school gates for 2 hours, shaking and crying, before her mother arrived to take her home. Mrs. Park didn't ask questions. She just wrapped her arms around her daughter and let her sob. Inside the school, Minjun was locked in the principal's office with his father and a team of lawyers. They presented him with papers, explained in cold legal terms that he was still a minor in their eyes, still under family guardianship due to his medical condition, still bound by contracts he'd signed years ago when he was too young to understand them. "You have two choices," Mr. Kang said. "Come home, resume your treatment, and never see that girl again. Or fight this legally, lose because you have no case, and watch while I destroy her family financially. Your choice." Min Jun looked at the papers, at the lawyers, at his father's implacable expression, and he realized with crushing certainty that he couldn't win this. Not this way. His father had too much power, too many resources, too much control. But he could protect Nia. He could make sure she didn't pay for his rebellion. "If I come home," Min Jun said slowly, "you leave her alone. Completely. No investigation, no expulsion, no legal action. You let her finish school in peace." "Agreed. As long as you never contact her again. And her family? You don't touch them either. No financial retaliation, no blacklisting, nothing." Mr. Kang considered this. "Very well, you have my word. I want it in writing, signed and notarized, before I agree to anything." His father actually smiled. "You're learning. Good. It'll serve you well in business." An hour later, Min Jun signed papers that felt like signing away his soul. Papers that promised he'd return home, resume treatment, never contact Nia again. In exchange, she'd be safe. Her family would be safe. She'd finish school and have a future, even if that future didn't include him. That night, Min Jun lay in his childhood bedroom for the first time in weeks. The walls felt like a prison. The silence was suffocating. He pulled out his phone, started typing a message to Nia, then deleted it. He couldn't contact her. The contract was clear. Any contact, any attempt to see her, would void the agreement and put her in danger. So instead, he opened his photo gallery and looked at the pictures they'd taken together. The two of them on the roof. Her laughing at something he'd said. Them holding hands for the first time. Every image was a knife to the heart. In her small apartment across Seoul, Nia was doing the same thing. Looking at photos, crying, trying to understand how everything had fallen apart so fast. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry." She knew it was from Min Jun, knew he was apologizing for everything. For his father, for the investigation, for whatever choice he'd been forced to make. She typed back, "It's not your fault." But the message wouldn't send. His number was already blocked. He'd made sure of it, knowing that if they could still contact each other, he'd break. He'd risk everything to be with her, even if it meant destroying her life in the process. So he'd cut off every way to reach her. Made the choice for both of them. Because sometimes love meant letting go. Even when letting go felt like dying. 3 weeks passed like a slow death. Nia returned to school after the suspension was mysteriously lifted. No explanation. No apology. Just a terse email from the principal saying she was cleared to return. She knew it was part of whatever deal Min Jun had made. But Min Jun wasn't there. He'd transferred to a private school across Seoul, one with tighter security, stricter policies, no chance of them running into each other by accident. The message was clear. His father had won. The school was different without him. Students whispered when Nia walked past, but the gossip had shifted. Some blamed her for everything. Others said Min Jun's father was a monster. Most just moved on to the next scandal, the next drama, because that's what teenagers did. Jiwoo stuck by her side through all of it. "He's miserable," Jiwoo said one day at lunch. They sat in the cafeteria now. Nia couldn't go to the roof anymore. Too many memories. I have a friend at his new school. She says he doesn't talk to anyone, just sits alone, wearing gloves again, like he's back to how he was before. Nia's heart clenched. He's wearing gloves? Every day, won't let anyone near him. His father hired a personal assistant to follow him around, make sure he doesn't break any rules. Jiwoo picked at her food. It's like watching someone die in slow motion. Don't tell me these things. Someone needs to, because you're dying too. You've lost 8 pounds. You barely sleep. Your mom told my mom you cry every night. Jiwoo? I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it because this is wrong. You two love each other. You helped him. And his father destroyed it because he's a control freak who can't stand the idea of his son being happy. There's nothing we can do about it. There's always something you can do. You're just too scared to try. Nia looked at her friend. What would you have me do? Storm his house? His father has lawyers and money and power. I have nothing. You have the truth. You have proof that Min-jun was getting better with you. That's not manipulation. That's healing. Jiwoo leaned forward. Fight back, Nia. Stop letting that man win. But Nia didn't know how to fight someone like Mr. Kang. She was 18, broke, powerless. What could she possibly do? The answer came from an unexpected source. That evening, there was a knock on the apartment door. Mrs. Park answered it to find Mrs. Kang standing in the hallway, looking nervous and exhausted. Mrs. Park, I'm so sorry to intrude. May I speak with your daughter? Nia came to the door, shocked. Mrs. Kang? Please, just 5 minutes. I need to tell you something. They sat in the small living room, Mrs. Kang looking completely out of place in her designer clothes among their secondhand furniture. She didn't seem to notice or care. My son is dying, she said without preamble. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, he's dying. He won't eat properly, won't sleep. He's having panic attacks again for the first time in weeks. Yesterday, his therapist called me because Min-jun told her he didn't see the point in living if he couldn't have the things that made life worth living. Nia's blood ran cold. Is he okay? No, he's not okay. He's back in that dark place he was in after Min-seo died, and I'm terrified we're going to lose him. Mrs. Kang's hands shook. My husband thinks control and discipline will fix this, that if he just forces Min-jun to comply, everything will go back to normal. But there is no normal anymore. My son changed because of you. He learned to live again because of you. And taking that away is killing him. Why are you telling me this? Because I need your help. I need you to fight for him, because he can't fight for himself right now. My husband has him so locked down, so isolated, that Min-jun has given up. He thinks protecting you means sacrificing himself. And I can't watch my last child fade away, because my husband is too proud to admit he's wrong. Mrs. Kang, I can't just show up at your house. Your husband will have me arrested. I know. That's why I'm going to help you. She pulled out a folder, handed it to Nia. This is everything. Medical records showing Min-jun's improvement since he met you. Therapy notes documenting his progress. Witness statements from his doctors saying his condition was better than it had been in years. Everything you need to prove this wasn't manipulation. It was healing. Nia opened the folder, scanning the documents. It was all there. Objective medical proof that Min-jun had been getting better. That their relationship had been therapeutic, not exploitative. Why are you doing this? You're going against your husband. Because I already lost one child to tragedy. I won't lose another to my husband's pride. Mrs. Kang stood. There's a board meeting at the school in 3 days. All the major donors will be there, including my husband. He's going to propose new policies about student relationships, using what happened with you and Min-jun as the example. If you show up with this evidence, you can prove he lied. That he manufactured a scandal to control his son. He'll destroy me for this. He'll try. But I'll stand with you. And so will other parents who are sick of him bullying the board into doing whatever he wants. Mrs. Kang moved toward the door, then paused. My son loves you. Really loves you. I've never seen him love anything except his sister. Don't let my husband take that away from both of you. After she left, Nia sat staring at the folder for hours. Mrs. Park made tea and sat with her, not saying anything, just being there. You know this could go very wrong, Mrs. Park said finally. I know. He could sue us, make our lives hell. We could lose everything. I know, Mom. But you're going to do it anyway. Nia looked at her mother. He's dying without me. Mrs. Kang said he's back in that dark place. I can't just abandon him because his father is a bully. I won't. Mrs. Park smiled, sad but proud. Then let's figure out how to fight back. If you're rooting for Nia right now, hit that like button. And subscribe because the final showdown is about to happen, and it's going to be epic. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. Jiwoo rallied students who'd witnessed Minjun's transformation, who could testify that he'd been happier and healthier with Nia. Mrs. Park contacted a lawyer friend who agreed to help pro bono. Mrs. Kang secretly fed them information about the board meeting, about her husband's plans, about the other board members who were tired of his control. On the day of the meeting, Nia dressed carefully. Professional but not expensive. Confident but not arrogant. She needed to look credible, not threatening. The boardroom was massive, intimidating, filled with wealthy people in expensive suits. Mr. Kang sat at the head of the table, looking smug and confident. He didn't see Nia until she walked through the door. His expression went from shock to fury in seconds. What is she doing here? This is a closed meeting. I invoked public comment protocol, Mrs. Kang said calmly from her seat. Any student affected by proposed policy changes has the right to address the board. It's in the bylaws you wrote. Mr. Kang's jaw clenched. This is inappropriate. No, what's inappropriate is lying to this board about a student to serve your personal agenda. Mrs. Kang stood. I move that we hear Miss Park's testimony before voting on any new policies. Seconded, another board member said, a woman in her 60s who'd been watching Mr. Kang with distaste. Mr. Kang had no choice. The board voted, and Nia was given 10 minutes to speak. She approached the podium, her hands shaking but her voice steady. 3 months, ago, I transferred to Hanseong Academy. On my first day, I accidentally crashed into Kang Minjun. Our lips touched for maybe 1 second. That accident changed both our lives. She opened her folder. Mr. Kang told this board that I manipulated his son, that I exploited his medical condition for personal gain, that I'm a gold digger who targeted the most vulnerable student in school. I'm here to prove that every single word of that is a lie. She distributed copies of the medical records, the therapy notes, the witness statements. The board members read in silence, their expressions shifting from skeptical to surprised to angry. These are Minjun's medical records from the past 3 months. His therapist notes that he showed more improvement in the first 2 weeks of knowing me than in the previous 2 years of treatment. His panic attacks decreased by 70%. He was able to engage in physical contact for the first time in a decade. He started playing piano again, something he hadn't done since his sister died. Every objective measure shows he was getting better. This proves nothing, Mr. Kang snapped. You could have manipulated the therapist too. How? I wasn't even present for his sessions. These are confidential medical notes that I only got access to yesterday. She looked directly at him. You lied to this board, Mr. Kang. You manufactured a scandal because you couldn't control your son anymore. Because for the first time in his life, he chose something for himself instead of following your orders. How dare you? Let her finish, the older woman said sharply. You'll get your turn. Nia pulled out her phone, pulled up a video. This is from 3 weeks ago. The day of the assembly where Mr. Kang accused me publicly. She played the video. Someone had recorded the whole thing, including the part where Hana lied about Nia bragging about Minjun being her ticket out of poverty. But the video also showed what happened after Nia was escorted out. It showed Minjun breaking down, screaming that his father was lying, begging people to believe him. It showed Mr. Kang having security physically restrain his son while he sobbed. The boardroom was dead silent. This wasn't about protecting Minjun, Nia said quietly. This was about control, about punishing him for daring to make his own choices. And it worked. Minjun is back to wearing gloves every day, back to isolating himself, back to barely functioning. Because his father would rather have a broken son he can control than a healing son who might disobey him. That's enough, Mr. Kang said, his voice dangerous. No, it's not enough. Because you need to understand what you've done. Nia's voice cracked. Minjun was healing. For the first time since his sister died, he was actually living instead of just surviving. He was happy. And you destroyed that because your ego couldn't handle the fact that I helped him when you couldn't. I am his father. You're a man who uses his son's trauma as a tool for control. The words exploded out of Nia. You've spent 10 years keeping him dependent on you, keeping him isolated, keeping him afraid. Because if he heals, if he becomes independent, you lose power over him. That's what this is really about. Not protecting him, controlling him. Mr. Kang stood abruptly. I will not be spoken to this way by a child. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you destroyed your son's chance at happiness. Nia gathered her papers. I'm not asking this board to punish Mr. Kang. I'm asking you to see the truth. Minjun and I didn't break any rules. We didn't do anything wrong. We just fell in love, and he dared to choose me over his father's control. That's not manipulation. That's called being human. She left the podium and walked out of the room, her legs shaking so badly she could barely stand. In the hallway, she collapsed against the wall, trying to breathe. 5 minutes later, Mrs. Kang emerged. The board is voting now, whether to censure my husband for misusing his position and lying to them. Will they vote against him? I don't know. He has a lot of power. But you did well in there. You told the truth. That matters. They waited for 20 agonizing minutes. Then the door opened and the older woman came out. The vote was 7-2. Mr. Kang has been officially censured and removed from his position on the board. The investigation into Miss Park has been permanently closed and expunged from her record, and we've recommended that Mr. Kang seek family counseling before making any further decisions regarding his son's medical care. Nia couldn't breathe. We won? You won. Though I suspect Mr. Kang won't make this easy for any of us. The woman smiled grimly. But at least now there's a record of his behavior. If he tries anything else, we have grounds to take further action. After the woman left, Mrs. Kang hugged Nia tightly. Thank you for fighting for my son when I was too afraid to. What happens now? Now I go home and have a very difficult conversation with my husband, and you go get my son back. Nia's heart raced. Will Mr. Kang let me see him? He doesn't have a choice anymore. Minjun is 18, legally an adult. The only reason he's been complying is because he thought it would protect you. But now that you've fought back and won, he doesn't have to sacrifice himself anymore. Mrs. Kang wrote down an address. He's at this school until 3. After that, he goes to therapy. Go to him, Nia, before my husband finds a new way to separate you. Nia didn't need to be told twice. She ran. Out of the building, down the street, onto a bus that would take her across Seoul. She texted Jiwoo, "We won. I'm going to get him." Jiwoo's response was immediate. Go get your man. The school was massive, prestigious, even more elite than Hanseong. Nia talked her way past security by claiming to be delivering documents to a student, found the main building, started checking classrooms, and then she saw him. Min Jun sat alone in an empty classroom, staring out the window. He wore black gloves. His uniform was perfect. His posture was rigid. Everything about him screamed control and containment and barely holding together. Naya pushed open the door. He turned, saw her, and the careful mask he'd been wearing shattered completely. Naya? His voice was hoarse, disbelieving. How are you here? My father said... Your father lied. About everything. She walked toward him slowly. I just came from a board meeting. Your mom helped me. We proved your father manufactured the scandal, that he lied to control you. The board censured him and cleared me. Min Jun stood slowly, like he was afraid sudden movement might make her disappear. You fought back. Of course I fought back. Did you really think I'd just let him win? Let him take you away from me without a fight? He said he'd destroy you, your family, everything. I thought if I just complied, if I stayed away from you, he'd leave you alone. He tried. I didn't let him. Nia stopped a few feet away, giving him space. Your mom said you're wearing gloves again. Min Jun looked down at his hands like he'd forgotten they were there. After I couldn't see you anymore, the panic attacks came back. The fear. Everything we'd overcome just collapsed. I couldn't handle people touching me again. It was like losing you broke something that had finally started to heal. Min Jun, do you know what these last 3 weeks have been like? Knowing you were out there, probably hating me for abandoning you? Wanting to call you every second of every day, but forcing myself not to because I thought I was protecting you. His voice broke. It's been hell, Nia. Complete hell. I never hated you. Not for 1 second. You should. I chose my father's control over fighting for us. You chose to protect me. That's different. She took a step closer. But you don't have to protect me anymore. Your father can't touch us now. The board is watching him. Your mom is on our side. We're free, Min Jun. He stared at her, hope and fear warring in his expression. What if I can't get back to where we were? What if I'm too broken now? Then we start over. We take it slow. We do the work. She held out her hand. Together. Like we promised. Min Jun looked at her outstretched hand for a long moment. Then slowly he pulled off his gloves. First one, then the other. Set them on the desk. His hands were shaking as he reached for hers. The moment their skin touched, he gasped. His eyes filled with tears. I can feel you. I can actually feel you. I'm here. I'm real. And I'm not going anywhere. He pulled her into a crushing hug, burying his face in her shoulder, holding her like she might vanish if he let go. Nia wrapped her arms around him and held on just as tightly, both of them crying, both of them finally able to breathe again. I love you, Min Jun said against her shoulder. I should have said it before. Should have said it 1,000 times. I love you, Nia, more than anything. I love you too, so much it scared me. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other in the empty classroom while the afternoon sun streamed through the windows. When they finally pulled apart, Min Jun cupped her face in his bare hands, touching her like she was precious and rare and miraculous. Kiss me, Nia whispered. Like you mean it. Like we're never letting go again. Min Jun smiled, really smiled, and it was like watching the sun come out after weeks of darkness. I can do that. He kissed her like he was pouring every moment of the last 3 weeks into it. All the pain and fear and desperate longing. The kiss was deep and intense and full of promise. A promise that they'd fought for this, earned this, and nothing would take it away again. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun rested his forehead against hers. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we figure it out. Together. We finish school. We deal with your father. We heal. And we don't let anyone tell us who we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to love." "That sounds perfect. It won't be easy." "I don't care. As long as I have you, I can handle anything." He kissed her again, softer this time, sweeter. "You saved me, Nia. In every way a person can be saved." We saved each other. And they had. Two broken people who'd crashed into each other by accident and discovered that sometimes the best things in life happen when you're brave enough to reach out and touch someone, even when the whole world says you shouldn't. Drop a comment if this ending destroyed you in the best way. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because there are so many more stories coming that will make you feel all the feels. 6 months later, Minjun graduated from therapy with a clean bill of health. His phobia wasn't gone completely. It probably never would be, but it was manageable. He could hug his mother without panic, could shake hands with business partners, could navigate the world like a normal person. But his favorite form of touch would always be Nia's hand in his, fingers interlaced. A constant reminder that taking risks and choosing love over fear had given him everything he'd never thought he'd have. A life, a future, a love worth fighting for. And in the end, that kiss that started it all, the accidental collision in a high school hallway, turned out to be the most important moment of both their lives. Because sometimes the most untouchable people just need someone brave enough to reach for them. And never let go. If you made it to the end, do well to subscribe so you don't miss more stories like this.